It's another episode of Wearable Today. Almost, it's tough to not say this week in Google Glass. It's sad to see it go, but anyway, we still have a great show for you. It's Wearable Today, and I said episode 70 last week. That's absolutely wrong. This was episode 60. I still don't know the number. 66. 65, 66. You just have to see it. Anyway, we got a great show. We're going to talk about cross-platforming. You know how you have to have that Apple Watch for your iPhone, but you can't have an Apple Watch for your Android. Well, some people are trying to jailbreak that system, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about the pay wars that are starting up. Samsung buying a company here. The next version of glasses is already out. Are people already getting to see it? We've got all that, and we've got a whole bunch more today, tonight, tomorrow, on Wearable Today. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek for Wearable Today, and Jeff at wearabletoday.com. And as always, my cohort in crime, I can speak, cohort in crime, Mr. Luke Wallace. How you doing, Luke?
Doing good tonight, Jeff. And Birdie's coming around the side here, ready to be on the show. And yeah, you can reach me on Twitter at Luke Luca. Also for this show at Luke at wearabletoday.com and on Google+. That's google.com/plus Luke Wallace.
There you go. And Birdie will be coming around his shoulder when he comes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a fake plastic bird and put it on my shoulder one of these days. So
just feel like you're missing out, huh?
Yeah, and then Birdie's going to go, what the heck? I'm the bird on this show. Don't do that. Anyway, so... Anyway, let's get into our news. In a segment we call Big News, Little Arms.
So, have you ever wanted a bracelet that you can change the pattern on? The Tego Arc wants to provide that functionality to you. Currently, this is an Indiegogo campaign. The e-ink display wraps around your wrist and can be updated via NFC. Since it uses e-ink, the bracelet will not require a power source once it's been changed. Stylish or fun, stripes or polka dots, the Tego Arc could be just what you're looking for. They say the current price is $259, but they also kind of imply that that's a discounted price. So if you're interested in that, look for that now.
Hold on a second here. I got a... Well, that's interesting. One of the next website here, they put a little ad right there. So anyway, I suppose it's their website. They could do whatever they want. So let's do this. The pay wars are getting hotter and hotter as last week Samsung bought Loop Pay, a mobile payment company for any phone that can actually produce produces a magnetic field. And excuse me. I get so excited I get all swelled up here. So it produces a magnetic field and technically spoofing just like a stripe card. So it could technically turn it into like a credit card. The new Galaxy S6 is expected to have Loop Pay tied in, and it's going to be a game changer. But they're talking about the differences with Loop Pay and with Apple Pay, and of course, which one's more. Of course, we're learning about which ones are more secure, and as time goes on, we'll learn a little bit more on that. But we got this article over at GigaOM, so you can determine for yourself whether you're going to stick with your Apple or stick with your Samsung.
And then, is the next version of Google Glass already being shown? 9 to 5 Google reports that some have been seeing different prototypes of a Glass reboot behind closed doors. We can't be sure if this was just a modified version of Glass or an entirely new form factor. This seems to have happened before Google announced that they were stopping production of the current model and before that statement we mentioned last week where Tony Fadell said that no one will see the new version until it's ready. Regardless, this would support Google's statement that Glass has not died and will continue in some form in the coming months and years.
All right, next up, Android is getting more steam as they hit a record number of sales for their wearables. The Moto 360, along with other Android Wear devices, have reported over 720,000 units were shipped in 2014. Now, according to an independent analyst company, Canalys, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and others, that number's really not that great. After all, it won't help any user that has an iPhone, and there's 114 million of those out there. Watch could see another 30 to 80 million watches needed out there, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But 720,000, you got to remember, Android Wear. When did Android Wear come out, Luke? It was June, right?
Yeah, June is when they announced it, and then like a few weeks later they actually had them available.
Exactly. So if it would have went through the whole year, it might have hit a million watches right there and gone from there. But it's not an Apple. That's all I'm going to say on that. So, but anyway, that's over on Droid Life if you want to read that and go from there. And finally, do you guys know what a wearable banana is? Yeah, there is such a thing as a wearable banana, and we've got it right here on the show. We're not going to tell you too much about it. You're just going to have to see what happened. Apparently, it was in the Tokyo Marathon 2015 on Sunday. And if you want to read more, you just basically have to click this little button right here, little play button. We'll have the link in the show notes so you can find out what a wearable banana is. But it does exist, and that's the important thing. And that's your big news, little arms. All right. So, hey, Luke, how you doing today? Has anything happened this week in your wearable tech lifestyle?
Not too much, I guess. Been some updates for Android Wear coming out. My Moto 360 got an update today. I think it was pretty minor.
Yeah.
What we've been running into down here is cold. We need more wearables for the cold. Today, pretty much all of DFW shut down because we got a very small amount of ice, and that's pretty much how we handle things around here because no one wants to deal with ice. We don't have any. We have very few machines that can get out on the ice and put out sand and stuff. We got like 3 trucks for all of DFW or something.
Yeah.
So it's
how much snow do you get in a day or in a year? So that just makes
usually
sense.
less than 12 inches over the entire season. Sometimes 0.
Yeah. So. I mean, even up here in where I live, which is
Madison, Wisconsin.
I remember one year we actually had to barter with Minnesota to get extra salt because we had so much snow, and this is like 3-4 years back. Had so much snow we ran out of salt.
So you took your fries, didn't you? You just kept salting your fries, and you're like, "We'll have so much salt, we'll never need more."
Well, now, and this is the beauty, the technology, and of course we're going off tangent here, so I'll be really quick. The technology of what they use now is amazing, and there's an article, and I'm not exactly sure who found it, but apparently we use some sort of extract from cheese to salt our roads instead of road salt. So it's a mixture that will actually keep the roads, everything melting off the roads, even when it gets to freezing and beyond. So it's pretty cool. Cool tech there. But once again, it's not wearable tech, so it's not really that cool. Yeah. So actually, I suppose if it splashes down and then I'm walking on the road and splashes on me, it then becomes wearable tech, right?
I don't know if that's the right use of that term, but yeah, sure. Wearable tech. The tech is on you. So
exactly. So, anything else happened to you this last week?
Oh, not too much. Just busy at work for the most part. But yeah, lots of good stuff. Using the Moto 360 and those little accessories, all the little things we talked about last week. The printable.
Oh yeah, how'd those go? I mean, you've got. He gave you a couple extra pieces there. We can't really talk about too much, but how'd that all go?
It went really well. He put up a blog article since last week and referenced us and has the pictures and stuff on there and kind of pointed at people over our way. So if you're watching the show from that, that's great. But yeah, really, really neat. I sent him some feedback today on maybe some improvements he could make in future versions, and he actually said that he watched the show and was going to be taking our suggestion for swapping out the faceplate. I have it here in front of me. Swapping out this charging part so that you could put other little holders so that if you have other wireless charging devices, you could set those on there. So It's kind of a multi-purpose wireless charger that you could swap around. So he's like, that was a great idea. I got to do that. So he's working on that now. That was over at obsessivelygeek.com.
That is correct. Yeah, you were right. And of course, we always get 10% of the gross revenue.
Do we?
Yeah,
Is
something
that
like
a
that.
sponsorship?
Yeah, no, it's not. Well, no, it's that's a reverse
Unrelated.
sponsor. Oh, I don't know. So we're laughing because if you haven't seen my video, some of the YouTube partners have been told that they can't put sponsorship. Well, it's graphical logos on the shows, and I put out a video that talked about that and what that was. So that's once again other technology. We won't get too much into that. So, as for me, we had a great weekend. Of course, today's Jennifer's birthday, so I wish Jennifer, my lovely other half. I can't say wife. I don't like to say girlfriend. She's my
Life
soulmate partner. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it's
Roommate?
her today. Yeah, well, no, actually no. But we won't get into that. But the whole point is, it's her birthday today, and we had a lot of fun. We went and got massages. Of course, she's a massage therapist, so it's kind of weird that she goes to get it. But anyway, the whole point is that that we had a day together, and she got a massage, and that was pretty cool. And then, of course, I had to do the show. So yesterday we had the big party, and she wanted to go to a roller rink. And so we went to a roller rink, and it was the first time in probably 20, 25 years that I actually got on roller skates. And I wasn't too good, and I wish I had some video, but my Google Glass was dead, and I had my GoPro out there, but I just wasn't at, I was taking care of so many different things, like getting people's skate rentals going and stuff like that. I just didn't have time to really sit down and make a video or anything like that. So. But it was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend go skating if you can. So, do you skate at all, Luke?
I have been both roller and ice skating in the past few years, but not a regular occurrence. But
Okay.
you can almost go ice skating today with all this layer of ice that's all over Dallas.
You can make yourself some viral videos. If you find a good stretch of ice, all you have to do is take off your shirt and put on your Google Glass and start it up and just slide.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I've got enough videos of me falling on ice. I don't really
okay.
need any more.
Well, we'll leave it at that. So, let's move on forward. Where am I? Okay, here. Let's get into our next little segment here, in which what we call the Apple Watch. And of course, Apple the Watch or Apple Watch is not out yet, so we find the little news bits and maybe find out a little bit more on that. So, Luke, why don't you take the helm on this one?
So this comes from an article by the Wall Street Journal, and then this got picked up by several other places. Basically, the rumor is that Apple is making between 5 and 6 million Apple Watches to have at launch. We've talked about how they're going to store them and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't really talked about how many they're making, which can be a good indicator because they do a lot of research. Apple definitely wants to sell every one they can, but they don't want to make more than the demand is by too big of a lead. They can always make more.
Exactly.
But they want to have enough to deal with that, opening weekend because they make a lot of money. So the number is basically 5 to 6 million, somewhere in that range. For context, a lot of people might ask how many iPads did they sell when that came out, because that was another kind of new area, that they were going into. For that, they sold 7.5 million in the first 6 months. So it wasn't all that opening weekend, but you could see how 5 to 6 million, if the demand is around the same, that's a good number to have on hand. Unfortunately, they didn't say how much the Apple Watch would be. There's still no good numbers on that. There's still, Apple said $349 or starting at $349, and they said that there's a sport version and then some higher end versions. So they haven't really said.
My understanding is there's 3 versions. You have the base version, the sport version, and then the gold version, the one the 18 karat gold Apple Watch. and from what I understand, it's going to be within that 5 million watches. It's going to be one of the three.
Yeah,
So
that's for I think all SKUs. That's not 5 million of the base and that's not 5 million of each of those. Yeah.
yeah. So and of course the gold watch is not going to be $349. It'll probably
Nope.
probably somewhere around $1,000 maybe. I don't know. 18 karat gold watch, gold plated watch. How
Yeah.
much does that go for? How much the gold go for? So, yeah, we both don't know.
Yeah,
So
I'm not a
it's
watch expert.
we don't have the bling on, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Gold's pretty expensive, so it wouldn't take very much to drive that price up pretty high. So
yeah. So, but the real question then is, are you going to get version one, version or part one, or not really versions? Uh, you can get the low end or you can get the
Mhm.
high end, and some people they might just not have a choice. I mean, they might just woke up late and got in line and given what they're given, and of course there's the other part of this whole equation that Apple has figured out that a lot of other smartwatches or companies haven't figured out, and that is there are people that simply wait in line just to wait in line. It's like that thrill, that rush. So what they do is they turn around and they basically get into line when they get in the line and get whatever they get. So if it ends up they run out of regular watches and sport watches and all that's left is an 18 karat gold watch, they buy it.
yeah,
And it's crazy because I've talked to a couple people that do that, and I don't know if there's a term for it, but it's just like you have the money to buy the highest end, and you're going to start at the lowest end. But it's just what is it? Is there actual rush? I mean, it's not like you're climbing Mount Everest or something like that. So
hmm yeah, I know that happens with the iPads. I remember hearing stories of those, and I think it's every time they come out that if you want that lowest end iPad, it's sometimes hard to find, especially opening weekend, because they definitely sell those out the fastest. Because most people are like, "Well, I want one, but I don't want to. I don't want to spend more than I have to. So, I can get the newest iPad for only 500. Okay, I'll get that." And then
yeah,
those all sell out. Now the cheapest one is 600, and people have to go, "Well, I was hoping to get the $500 one, but I really, really want it, so I'm going to spend that extra $100." And then it's
yeah.
like it becomes where like you kind of wonder, are people really planning this, or is this an impulse buy, or they just have to have it opening weekend? They're like, I can't wait 3 weeks for them to get some cheaper ones in. I have to have it this weekend.
Yeah.
So
Well, when I did, for those of you who don't know, I actually did another show called iPad 365, and I almost said iPad today. I don't know why. iPad 365, and when I got the iPad Air, I was going to get the 32 gigabyte model anyway. So, I decided when I stood in line for Black Friday to get it, I was about 30 people before they ran out of the 16 gigabyte model, and everybody was going, "Oh man!" It's like, yeah, I don't really care because I actually was going to go for the 32 gigabyte model anyway, so it all worked out for me. But yeah, it's
yeah,
surprising how some people just go, "Yeah, I got the money, so I'm just going to stand in line," and I don't know if they even care about getting the iPad. They just want to stand in the line.
yeah, yeah,
It's like there's a door right there. You could stand outside of it and then give me $1,000 when you walk through it. I'd be happy with that. That's not going to happen though. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's something
so
about that mystique of standing in line or waiting in line and trying to be one of the first people to have one, I guess. And I don't know. I guess I
yeah,
don't. I There's very few brands that I feel that loyal to, because I mean they're still just a company, right? That's trying to get me to buy things.
yeah.
Like I mean, I don't know if I love any company. I mean, I probably would stand outside for something really, really that I wanted. I guess I can't blame people for it if I really want the thing, but
Oh yeah. I
part of
mean,
me is like, why not just wait till it's easy to buy, or buy it
you know,
online or something?
we got and this is a little off topic. I apologize, but a couple months ago here in where I live, which is
Madison, Wisconsin.
thank you. So we got our first Chick-fil-A,
Oh yeah.
and people were waiting, and we're talking depth of cold here, and they pitched their tents and they waited because apparently they got like they can get a free chicken sandwich for a year, every day
Yeah,
for a year,
they do that
to
at
be
all
the
their
first.
other
Yeah,
openings. Yeah.
to be their first 100. And so it's like, that is, wow. So it works. People do it, and hey, that's great for them. I am not going to pitch my tent in below freezing cold just for a chicken sandwich or an Apple iWatch, because one, I don't have an Apple device, Apple iPhone, and
Mhm.
two, even if I did have an Apple iPhone, I don't wear watches.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I have definitely heard that sentiment too.
yeah.
Um,
And maybe I will. Maybe that'll change, but we'll see what happens there. So, but anyway, that's that. Well, let's move on from there. In another segment we like to call Fund Me.
ooh,
I like that one.
oh,
Ooh, this is an Indiegogo. Pinto. Yeah, no, take your cloud with you. We talk about wearable devices that track this and that on your body, but what if they track the data in the cloud? Have the cloud come with you. I always said, the best person for the cloud, the best spokesperson for the cloud is Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I just want him to say the cloud all the time. So anyway, over on Indiegogo, you can fund Pinto. And go back to the page here. It's a wearable flash drive with no USB connection whatsoever. You can send your pictures, your documents, and more. I think you dock on Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever. You docks to the Pinto device, and then of course it'll upload it. They have a 32 gigabyte and a 64 gigabyte model on there. As you can see, they're doing pretty good on their funding. They've got 11 days left, so and they're going for a $190,000 goal there. But the best part is you could sit there. You basically are taking your cloud with you, and of course it even charges wirelessly. So there's no connections. You don't plug it in the side of a computer. It's just there, and when you need your files, you hit a button, and then it connects up to the computer you want it to, and then you can do your transfer right there. And that's even great for places that still don't have Wi-Fi access, like on top of Mount Everest or something like that. So, what do you think of this new idea of a wearable to actually turn it into cloud? And do you think that the 64 gig it needs to be more than 64 gigabytes?
so a couple of questions there, I guess.
Okay.
I think it's really neat because yes, I do think there's always this need. Like I run into that more often than I'd like to admit. Of well, I need to transfer this file from one computer to another, or from this device to that device, my camera to my computer, and then I want to get it over there. And it you can do a lot of stuff with the cloud, with like Google Drive or Dropbox or Evernote, any number of services that are out there. But sometimes that seems a little slow,
Yep.
or you're like, well, I really don't want to take up all my cloud storage space, because even though it sounded like a lot when you first got it, those 10 gigs fill up pretty fast, and now all of a sudden you're out of space, and so you're like, well, do I really want to put this thing on there? So I think like having something portable. I've seen this kind of thing with USB drives where it kind of wraps around your wrist, and then you can unplug it and then plug it into your computer, and now you've got this USB drive. So they're getting rid of all that though and making it wireless. It looked to me like it was just Bluetooth,
Okay.
and it had a battery in it. Like, so it has a battery because it needs something to power the Bluetooth of the device, and
Yeah.
wireless charging, very cool. I think the Bluetooth, like the only concern I would have is how fast could the Bluetooth transfer be? I know Bluetooth LE is pretty slow. Standard Bluetooth might actually get enough data. Like you might be able to do fast enough data with it. I guess that'd be my only concern. Wi-Fi Direct would be nice, but then you got to have that capability on both devices. So
Yeah.
I think it's a really really interesting thing. I'd be curious how long the battery would last. I like how they have a lot of different charging options. They even like a little pad they show in their video where you could literally set your wrist on your desk next to your computer, and that's a charging pad, and so it's charging while your wrist is sitting there, and then you can basically use it because you don't have to like dock it and do all this stuff to like take it off and charge it. You can like charge it while it's on your wrist. and you're using it. So pretty clever in a lot of ways. I don't know if they're going to be successful at their current rate. There's not a lot of time left, and they have a lot of money left to raise. But I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea too, because the best part about it is, yeah, you can have files. I go out to these events like South by Southwest and stuff like that, trying to hook up to the Wi-Fi just to download a file is kind of a pain, and being able to transfer from one to the other, when I could push a button, push it over, and then push another button, and push it over there that way, that would be cool. Bluetooth, you're absolutely right with the Bluetooth LE. It's slow, and it's actually very problematic. I mean, you've got to be sitting, like, if the computer's here, you've got to be sitting right here with the device. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it doesn't lose connection. It temporarily loses the connection. It's like if you ever played music and you have Bluetooth headset and you put your phone in your pocket or something like that, or you leave the phone in the other room, and then you go into the kitchen or something like that, the music just kind of pauses for a second, and then it speeds up to catch up, and it goes from there. So it's not the most perfect method, Bluetooth, and technically Bluetooth is way outdated. And I really hope that someday that somebody's going to actually do a different protocol to Bluetooth. I think it's just past its prime, but a wireless charging would have been I think it would have been a better option. So.
I think we have a question over in the Q&A.
What? Wait. Somebody's in the Q&A?
It's crazy.
What? let me call it up. Hold up.
Eric Forty has put in a bunch.
Whoa, hey.
Down at the bottom, the last question I think is, will it work with multiple devices? Is the question there, and I believe that it does. The idea is not that it just pairs with a single device, but that it can be paired with, it can be paired with your phone, and then you can pair it to your computer after that to then transfer the files off. I don't know if you could pair with multiple at the same time. That sounds like unlikely. But that again, because I think Bluetooth is really kind of a one-to-one pairing. It would have to have either like multiple Bluetooth radios in the wristband, which it probably doesn't. But I would guess that it's one of those you kind of have to swap. So it probably can't be like a file server where you could have several people streaming, videos off your wrist at once. But you could at least transfer a video onto your wrist and then onto your computer. Later, so or off of somebody else's computer, or a presentation.
That's one thing is you go to do a presentation and you've got like 4 laptops that are lined up because the first one has the presentation on starting the whole the event, and then the next one's like where all the sponsors are, and then the next one, and then finally your laptop, and all that in between there unplugging and plugging in. If you've got a Mac, if you've got a PC, VGA versus HDMI. Blah blah blah. Instead, you got it on your wrist, and then you could just Bluetooth in it, and that's probably even the best part on that is because you could Bluetooth that in, open up PowerPoint, the things there, but then you could close PowerPoint. It doesn't save onto the computer, and the second you turn that off, there might be something in cache, but if somebody really wants to dig for it, but for the most part, it's there. So,
I think Eric has a follow-up question. Saying I can pair 3 things on my iPhone, so should it be possible? I think it might be a difference between a host and a client issue. Like your phone actually has the host, part of the Bluetooth where it kind of controls, the access. Whereas let's say your Bluetooth headset, your Google Glass, whatever, those are like the clients. So I think that the phone could have 3 things, but this wristband probably is the client that can only have one. Like it can only be connected to one host at a time.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's not Bluetooth LE. So to have that functionality, what you're talking about is part of the Bluetooth LE protocol. And the problem with the Bluetooth LE protocol is, and I might be wrong on this, but I believe you can only connect one thing at a time, but they interchange with each other. So it'll pull in from, like if you're listening on your headphones, it'll send the information, then it'll switch over to the other device to get stuff, and then it'll come back. It's kind of like sending packets across the internet. you can only send so much to a certain direction. You got to send it to a different direction. Maybe Bluetooth LE will get better within time, so it does it a lot faster. But it's just not the best protocol out there. It's just what we've got in protocol land. So
Yeah, I think good questions. Maybe reach out to the Pinto people and kind of ask how that works, and if you can
yeah,
pair it to multiple devices, because that would be kind of neat if everybody could just be pairing to that one thing, and just everybody's dropping stuff on there and pulling putting stuff on and pulling stuff off all kind of at the same time instead of having to swap around. But I would doubt that that's going to be possible with that device, but you never
yeah.
know. You never know.
Well, and of course, it is a crowd fund. So if they get their money, they'll be able to do a little bit more R&D, and they'll be able to make it a little bit better, a little bit faster. But you're
Mhm.
basically getting the first round of devices, and I've just got the price stuff up here. So I think it's $69 for the first one, which is the 32 gigabyte model. So that's
Mhm.
not too bad
Nice.
for a device that's gonna be able to connect up there. But I'm gonna wait and see what they do. They might just end up selling the technology in the
Hmm.
end to
Licensing
somebody
it or
else,
something.
licensing
Yeah.
it up in the end. So we'll see where they go with that and go from there. So.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely, definitely cool. So, all right, let's move on. Let's get into our featured subject here. And I just need to do this, and I need to do this, and we'll flip over here. And so there was a. Did I do that right? There we go. Developer. Although Mohammed Abu Garble, I think I pronounced that right, did it, it doesn't mean it's going to actually stay that way. So what he did was he took an Android Wear device, the Moto 360 in this case, and he attached it to an iPhone without doing a jailbreak whatsoever, or on either device. So the only problem is, this is not supposed to be how you're not supposed to be able to cross-platform it. He found a way to do it without jailbreaking. However, it doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way, and I have a feeling iOS is going to come out with a new update, and that's going to wipe that whole thing right out there. But that's the beauty of the hacker community out there, is they're always finding brand new ways to do things and connect up. And that brings us to the question. We talked about it with the phones, with the Moto 360 and other Android devices only selling 720,000 in the last 6 months, Android Wear. But connecting up wearables from one platform to the other one, and most people will want the Apple Watch because they have their iPhone. They'll want that Apple Watch. But some people really might be more impressed with a Moto 360 and want to find a way to connect it up to their Apple. So there has to be some sort of common ground that we can actually do this and be able to have our Moto 360 and Apple iPhone 2 and be able to work in a harmony. But I don't think it's going to be through conventional software, and I'm really hoping that it's not going to be through a jailbreak of some sort, although that's probably what it's going to boil down to. So, on the Android end of things, because you know it best there, Luke, uh, let's flip the tables. Do you think an Apple Watch could eventually hook up to an Android device, since it's a little bit more open than Apple is?
So it's a great question. I think I would have to guess the short answer is yes.
Okay.
It will be possible. Now, let me throw out a few caveats because we haven't completely, we don't have everything out there yet. The Apple Watch isn't out and no one's done it, so we can't say, yeah, of course it'll be possible. But let me give you a couple of, justifications or reasons why. So the Apple Watch uses, I believe, probably Bluetooth LE or a Bluetooth standard connection. I would guess LE because low energy, low power,
Yeah.
lower power usage. That'd be the obvious choice. They've used it before. So Bluetooth LE, which is a standard protocol. In theory, that Bluetooth LE device could be paired with an Android device. Then the question is just how do you send the messages to the Apple Watch? I don't know if Apple's going to make it easy. They may not document that too well, but because it's being transmit, through the air, someone should be able to intercept and figure out exactly what those, what the right signals are to make it, send the right notifications.
Yeah.
Now, Android does support other devices intercepting every notification on the phone. They rolled this into the OS so that devices like the Pebble and even Android Wear could connect to the OS and say, send me all the notifications, and you send them to basically an app, and then that sends it on to your wearable. That's how Google Glass was able to be used as an Android Wear device, in essence, is that the Google Glass app started intercepting all of the notifications and then sent them on to Google Glass in the format it expected.
Yeah.
So you could imagine someone could basically do the same thing for Apple Watch, where they write an Apple Watch app for Android that intercepts the notifications and retransmits them in a format that the Apple Watch understands and can interact with, and then you could do that. Now, sounds really great. There's a few problems with it. The specific parts of a notification don't map exactly. Apple notifications and Android notifications aren't identical. They have different components to them, and you could map some of them, like what's the title of the notification? It's hello, and then the detail is, we just launched this new feature. We'd love you to try out. Okay, well, that map's pretty easy because both platforms have that. But there's things like images and actions and stuff like that that it's harder to map back and forth. And so I think that you'll see...
Is that more of a I'm talking French, you're talking English type thing?
I'd say kind of, yeah. Like they're slightly different. Yeah, the vocabulary is a little different, maybe. Okay. So yeah, maybe it's kind of a French and English of like,
or maybe more of a Chinese, Mandarin, Japanese, since there's similarities in those languages.
I would say that yeah, they're similar. They're going to have a lot of the same concepts, but there's going to be a few concepts that don't exist in the Apple world that exist in the Android world, and vice versa. Things that Apple says, oh yes, this is a standard part of a notification or a standard action you can take, and Android wouldn't know how to handle that. So you're going to have this lowest common denominator kind of thing. So okay. I think the short answer will be yes, someone will figure out a way to make it work, but it's not going to be as good as if you were using the Apple Watch on an iOS device. And just like this Android Wear one, it's using the standard functionality that Apple rolled into their OS, again to support devices like the Pebble. They are just using that and saying, hey, I know how to translate that and throw it onto the Android Wear device. I know how to kind of intercept that from the Android Wear side. I think, again, they're messing around with it on the Android side because it's a little more open. It's a little easier to load your own APK on that watch. Whereas the Apple Watch, that'll be harder to do and maybe not even possible at the beginning. And so they're using kind of the Android side to bridge that gap. And so, their Android Wear on Apple or on an iOS device will probably get you basic notifications, but again, you won't get all the rich experience. If you get this really amazing notification on iOS, Android Wear probably won't be able to handle it, or it won't know how to be translated, and then sending any response back will be difficult. So it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be kind of useful.
As long as you get your texts and find out who called, and maybe a Facebook message or two, which I'm guessing that Facebook will have something in their archive, or not archive, but in the waiting wings, I guess, to just say if there was ever a communication bridge between the two, they say, okay, you just install this Facebook communication bridge, and then you can actually have your watch say, hey, you got 100 people like that one picture you sent of whatever, and go from there. So
yeah, it's very possible that apps will even kind of support this, though there may be some sort of rogue standard that people can follow and say, oh yeah, I'll throw in this one so that if they happen to have an Apple Watch on their Android device, they'll see this other, let me send this message the right way, or let me add this extra thing in there for Apple Watch users. And who knows, because that's kind of what Android Wear is about, is like extensibility and adding in more stuff. So who knows? It may get pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and of course, you also have to. It's all about the Bluetooth in this case, and with some, and I know that with a lot of these wearable devices, they wouldn't support Android uh, up until Jelly Bean, simply because of the fact that the Bluetooth ability wasn't and the Bluetooth LE ability wasn't there.
Mhm.
And then when Jelly Bean came out, that's just kind of broke all those barriers. So and they could program for those. And then of course you got a lot more wearables out of that. Android seems to be behind the game on a lot of these things, and which is kind of sad. But you can only go at the pace that you can really work at to make it
Yeah.
perfect. So
Yeah.
let's flip this around here a little bit. So we have a Moto 3.6. There are first of all there are watches that do work on Apple and on Android right now. Pebble, perfect example, because of the fact it doesn't push more than you got a text message, you got a phone call type stuff. And anything else that pushes through on Pebble watches,
I think Pebble just
calendar
recently.
stuff. Yeah,
This may should have been in our big news little arms rar, but I think Pebble added in some support for Android Wear so that it could get a few more notifications
yeah,
instead of just the ones that Pebble, like you said, phone calls, text messages.
yeah,
I think they've added like they've been enhancing their APIs so that
yeah. Well,
they're a better Android Wear device.
we did talk about that a couple weeks ago when they started doing
Oh
it.
yeah, maybe we
So
did. Maybe we did.
yeah, but when all the everything comes through, then we'll probably talk about all the features. But right now, it's just kind of there's supposed to be a new Pebble watch coming out in the next few weeks. That's what I've been waiting for, and that's at least that's what I've been hearing in the rumor mill.
Mhm.
So, but the bottom line, yeah. So they're thinking of being a cross-platform type watch. Um, and do you think there'll ever be a watch that'll actually just kind of do what like a two-in-one laptop does? It runs the OS until you take off the tablet part, and then it becomes a tablet all of a sudden. Do you think that somebody's going to develop a watch that's going to run Android on one side, and then if you hook it up to an Apple iPhone, it'll become an Apple Watch?
Ooh, I would guess, based on prior history, that Apple will be very protective of their ecosystem, and they will want at least to have something that they can always say is theirs, and that's a one step above. Like they'll never want the Pebble to be just as good as the Apple Watch because why would you buy the Apple Watch? Or like they want to always be able to say, but we can do this. We can, it has NFC in the watch, and so now you can, pay with your watch where Pebble can't do that. That kind of thing. They'll want to have some feature that they don't let other people use.
Yeah,
On the Android side, you'll see less of that just because right now you've already got 4 or 5 manufacturers making Android Wear devices. So you're always going to see that competition of each one can throw in their own kind of unique twist. But
yeah,
so but I do think what you're saying is pretty valid as far as like Pebble will always be pushing like we want to be the one watch that we can market to everybody with a smartphone. We don't care
yeah,
what you've got because it'll work.
yeah.
Will it be as awesome as this other device? Maybe not, but only in a couple of ways. Like it'll be what most people want most of the time, and be very nice. So
Yeah. After all, if I get a watch, I want the watch to do one thing really, really, really well, and that's tell the time. And if a watch doesn't do that, then it's not worth anything for me. So and I've said this in the past, if you've got 52 Facebook updates and 32 text messages and 3 phone calls, and that takes up your battery, and your battery dies on your watch, and you can't even tell the time, it's not worth it for me. So I don't like that. And Eric came back in with more of a comment. He said the Apple's for people that want something that works, don't have to fiddle with it. Android is for people who like to personalize and tweak their user experience. We could, yeah, there is some truth to that, but I know many people that go and jailbreak their iPhones, and That's the other the other big question is, do you think that Red Snow will come out with a Apple Watch jailbreak, and will even Android have some sort of jailbreak options?
Ooh, I'd never underestimate the internet. You've got that's what they always say. They're like some phone comes out and they're like, this is this is impossible to root. We've seen these Android devices come out and they're like, this one's super secure, and within 24, 48 hours, somebody's like, I got root, and they
Yeah,
found some little way to bug, to root it and get exploit some bug that's in there and get access that no one thought. And it's like you tell people something that can't be done, and they will
oh
make
yeah,
sure it happens.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. It just brings me back to the days of the I'm trying to Blemex, the PlayStation emulator,
Oh
so you could
yeah,
actually play games onto the Windows. And we haven't even talked about the Windows phones yet. I mean, does Windows Phone have their own watch? Are they planning for one, or do you know?
I guess so. I don't know if either of those Windows Phone guys are going to buy one.
Yeah, I mean, people are starting to say, "Hey, Windows phones are going to be the next generation here." I mean, I read
Yeah,
a
I've
lot
been
of
saying
articles
that for a
about
few
that. So,
years. I mean, I don't want to say that it can't happen and that competition's not good or anything. Like
yeah,
yeah, it'd be great if they if they got some more stuff. I'm pretty sure that there are wearables that work with Windows phones, and it's a similar type thing of notifications and responding to them, and sending texts through it and stuff. There's
yeah,
those things, and Pebble may even work with those. I guess we're we're focusing on that small 95% of the market that is
yeah.
iPhone or Android.
Yeah, we got because you also have I just had
BlackBerry.
yeah, BlackBerry. Thank you. You had Windows. You have BlackBerry. You have Symbian's still out there. You have and then you go overseas and there's like 4 or 5 different OSs there for
Tizen.
phones.
There's
Yeah, and there's the open source one, Nokia, before they sold half of their company to Microsoft. They made a secondary programming language for phones overseas. That it's a very basic language, but you could still get a Facebook app or a Candy Crush game app onto your smartphone and do much. And then, of course, it's also about sophistication. Windows has always been that more highbrow, sophisticated type markup language, and then I'm not saying that Apple language or Android language is dumbed down by any means, but it is a little bit more. It is a little easier to understand and be able to reprogram for than a C plus or anything like that. You disagree?
I don't know. From a development background, it's all kind of the same. I mean, the tools they provide are different, and yeah, you have to kind of learn each one, but
Yeah,
it gets easier over time. So
yeah. And I
I
might I might be thinking, because last time I looked at Windows programming languages was 2005, so I'm now 10 years out of date
yeah,
when it
yeah.
comes to stuff like that. Maybe I should brush up on my.
So some of their new tools are actually pretty good for Windows Phone development. I have looked at some of their stuff before I really went all in on Android. Some
Yeah,
of their WPF stuff that they're doing. They make good tools. I think of Windows as kind of the OS for business. You see it a lot in it's kind of the business stuff. So
yeah,
it's just yeah. That's a whole
yeah.
nother topic.
It is, and we don't talk too much about Windows devices and wearable technology, and it's kind of sad because of the fact, I've got a Windows machine right here. I've got another Windows device back there. And of course, I got a Mac right here. And it's part of an ecosystem. But when it comes to the mobile stuff, we just kind of most of us, some of us are diehard Windows fans, John Abedo, that they'll love it till the day they die. But some of us got to live in all worlds and understand what's going on there. So with that, it'd be interesting. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Windows does come out with a watch. because it only makes sense for them to have that. If they're business, and most business people have watches, and you're on a Windows system, why not have a Windows watch?
Yeah. And, there might be people out there watching going, man, these idiots, they don't know about product X. It uses, it's on Windows Mobile, and it's awesome, and I have one, and I want to come on and talk about it. You know what? That'd be great. You got to tweet us. You got to, email us or something, and get in contact with us. We'll be going through contact information. Use hashtag Wearable today on Twitter, and we can. We can look for questions and comments, and we'll have you either on the show, or if you just want to send us some links, we'd definitely love to talk about it.
Definitely. You can even send your birdie to our birdie to let us know what's going on. I'm just saying, that's a possibility right there.
Bring your birdie, and birdie will talk, and have my bird call your bird, and
and of course we also have birdie at wearabletoday.com.
Mm-hmm. So. You can email Birdie directly. Yep. Yeah. Birdie's excited about that.
You can find it all at wearabletoday.com. We've got everything up there. You can subscribe, be part of the whole experience over there at wearabletoday.com. So, all right. Well, I think that does it for. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Anything you wanted to add to anything here?
No, it sounds good. Did you want to talk about the gift we got this week?
Oh. I completely forgot about that. Of course, Google Glass. We were both exposed. Did you get yours?
I did.
I did. Okay. I've heard a couple people get a few of these, but got in the mail today, or not today, a few days ago. You can't really see it, but it says Glass in the middle there, and then we opened it up, and here it is. It's the Glass Book, Volume 1. Let me switch over to this screen right here so you can see it. Volume 1 is basically a picture book, and we got a little thing from Ivy Ross in kind of a transparent paper saying, you've played an integral role in creating Glass. Your feedback and support have shaped what Glass is today and will inform what Glass becomes in the future. Because before joining the Glass team, I watched the experiences you shared through Glass with amazement, and since joining, I've been even more inspired. I can speak now. Okay. Sergey and Larry always say that Google is not a conventional company, and we don't intend on become one. Although you did shut down helpouts, and I don't understand why. What you've done as a Glass Explorer perfectly captures this belief. In the most unconventional way, you've purchased a new technology in its earliest form for $1,500 plus airfare and other travel, and learned how to use it alongside us and shared your gripes and delights along the way. Yes, I have. Thank you all for what you've done and all you've taught us. This book is a tribute to you on behalf of the entire Glass team. Thank you again. And it's just a picture book, coffee table book, however you want to call it. It's got pictures. I'm not going to show too many pictures because that might mark up copyright issues. So a few pages here and a few pages here. None of the pictures are from me or Luke. Our friend Noble Ackerson is in there, but we did some great people that have taken some great pictures of Glass. And at the end, in all reality, they did give us a place to put our Glass memories. Unfortunately, it would only be in our book as opposed to everybody's book. So, and of course, they also said Volume 001. So maybe there's going to be a Volume 002. Maybe this will be a monthly thing, Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't know. It's like those old CD things. You get CD once a month clubs that you see in the back of the Parade magazine, and then you get the first 5 free, but then it's like $29.95 a month if you unless you cancel your subscription and go from there. So we'll see what happens. But this is it. This is the Google Glass. I appreciate that. It's a great little coffee table book, and
yeah.
I know I'm glad that I have my Google Glass, and Luke, you're glad you have a Google Glass, right?
I can't not be glad, right? It's like it's had its ups and downs. We've had our surprise and delight moments. I think yours is the most famous, blue glass I've seen. We've had crazy experiences with it, and it's kind of neat that. This is kind of a nice, interesting, wrap up on it. I do find, volume 001. It's like, are you really gonna have over 100 volumes of this? Like, I doubt it. But I'm sure it was just to look nice. Like, I'm sure
Yeah.
it was just a typography type thing.
Yeah.
But very nice, very nice.
If so, where can I send my Google Glass picture? That's all I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, this is the blue pair. It has been worn by many a people, many a celebrity. Not technically this version, but you know how that goes. So,
Yeah.
anyway, that does it for this episode of Wearable Today. My name is Jeffrey Powers. You can find me over at Geekazine, Jeff@wearabletoday.com. And as always, Luke.
I can be found at Luke Luca on Twitter. That's LukeLuca. Or Luke at wearabletoday.com, Birdie at wearabletoday.com. That's BIRDIE at wearabletoday.com. Or on Google Plus Luke Wallace.
Yeah, and plus Jeffrey Powers, or plus Geekazine, or plus, I think we add it now. They went through a re-verification process, but I think we were officially changed to plus Wearable Today. If not,
I believe
plus,
so.
yeah, if not, plus This Week in Google Glass. But if you just look for Wearable Today, it's right there. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Thank you very much to Eric Forti, hopefully I pronounced his name right, for sending in those questions in the Q&A area. That was kind of nice. Change of pace to be able to help him out. I hope you got the information that you were looking for. And of course, like Luke said, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you've got a wearable to tell and a story to show, let us know. And we'll get you on a future episode on that. Of course, episodes, let's just talk really quick. We're going to be continuing on for the next few weeks. Then I will be going to South by Southwest. But I might be doing some travel before that, so we might actually have a 2-week break starting on March 9th. So March 9th, March 16th, we will take a couple weeks off there, and then we will continue on. So we got one more episode. Yeah, we got one more episode before that happens. So, all right, well, thanks a lot, Luke, for your time, and thanks, Birdie, for your time, and thank you all for watching and listening. Wearable Today. We'll see you next week, and until then, you guys geek out with your wearable.